This is the inside of the Lunar Clubman ES. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on just here. Once we've done this, we can turn on the lights. All these lights can then all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. We then have awning light on and off, and then we have the dimmable top lighting on and off just there. We can control the dimmer by either holding the button or by going into the settings, which I'll show you in a moment. We then have water pump on and off just here. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. We then have levels just here. So this one is redundant because we don't have an onboard water tank. And then this one here just gives us the condition of the leisure battery and the mains current coming in. If we now go into the settings menu, you'll see that we have battery selection just here. Really we only need it on leisure because we're not a motorhome. And then we don't need to worry about the solar because we do not have a solar panel fit to this caravan, and exactly the same with the tank fill again because we don't have an onboard water tank. Here we have lights to be turned on when we turn the power on, so we can alter all these if we want to. We can also alter the brightness, etc. We can have a lighting attendant on and off, so the lights come on automatically. Just set when you would like them to come on and when you would like them to go off, and then pick what lights you would like to come on for that period. Key beeps on and off. Water level alarms, again we don't want that because we don't have an onboard water tank. Brightness of the backlight and how quickly this screen times out when you're not touching it, and then set your date, time, etc. just there. Beside the Lunar control panel, we then have the control panel for the Aldi heating and hot water system. Turns on just here. See in the top corner there, it's just letting us know that we have main supply, no differently than on the control panel just here where we've got the little lightning strike. It will also give you an internal temperature of the caravan, again exactly the same as up here. If I now press menu, it will bring up the basic functions. So the top one just here is the thermostat for the heating, just literally plus and minus, pick whatever temperature you would like it to be inside the caravan. It will go all the way up to 30 degrees and drop as low as 5 degrees for frost protection. After that we then have hot water, so hot water on and then hot water on a boost. Boost is extremely handy if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water extremely quickly. If you do perform this and the heating's running, the heating will turn off as it needs to use that extra power. So even though at the moment I've turned on heating, hot water, etc., the system still hasn't actually fired up yet because we haven't given it a power source. So we have a little lightning strike here, which is main supply. So if we now turn it on, we can run on main supply using 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts. So just dependent on the ampage of the site that you're on to try and avoid tripping. If we don't have main supply, we can run on the gas. And if we have both power sources available to us, we can actually run in dual fuel as well if we wanted to. Very handy, especially in the winter months if we want to get up to temperature really quickly. It will only consume gas as it's required. This ACC one is for the technicians in the workshop, so you cannot go into this part here. We then have a little picture of a cog, and this is the settings menu. So we have our timers just here, so we have a night timer. Just literally turn it on and off just here. Set the temperature you would like it to be for that period. Then set the begin time, whether or not it's for all days of the week or just individual. And then an end time. We can also invert the backlight just here if we wanted to. So this screen goes from white to black and the white and the writing goes to white. And if we highlight this one here, we can also tell the boiler that we do not want any hot water for that period as well. Very handy if you're wild camping, so you're not wasting gas heating up hot water whilst you're asleep. We then have day mode, so we then have the same again. Prioritize is what the system prioritizes in using when in that dual fuel mode. So at the moment it favors main supply over gas. If you're on a very low amp site, you could have it so it consumes more gas and less electricity. This one here is just literally the brightness of the screen, etc. This one is not used on this particular model. And then this one here is just to set the correct time and day of the week, etc. if you are going to be using timers. We now arrow down. These ones again are mainly not used on this particular model or can only be accessed by the workshop. We then have this one here which is called Antimicrobial. You do have to be using night mode, and then what would happen is in the middle of the night the boiler will turn itself on, heat up rapidly to kill off any bacteria that may be in it. We then have temperature offset for the onboard thermostat. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. High altitude mode just here, so if you are using the caravan 1,000 meters above sea level, just pop this on to make the system run more efficiently. Key beeps on and off. Instead of having multiple timers, you can just have one delayed start and stop to the system. Pump settings, just literally leave it set to thermal. We do not want it on continuous, otherwise the solution in the radiators will just constantly go around the caravan when it's not required. Full factory reset, so if there is a problem with the unit you can reset it. External start, you do have to have additional boxes added, as it were, to be able to control it via a app. Language, service, again more for the workshop, but it will let you know what everything is up to. And then lastly, installed accessories. This one here can be handy, which is the load monitor. If we now go back into the menu and we arrow back up, it will then be available just here. If you know how many amps the site is that you're on, just pop it into here, and then it doesn't matter if you are running on 3 kilowatts just here, it will limit itself to avoid tripping. Because it's an activated function, it will appear just here. So then we can quickly go back to it and then alter it or turn it back off again. If we now come down to the front bench seat, and I just remove the cushions, and I now lift up, we have the location of the Aldi boiler just there. We have the drain valve just here. So to drain the boiler down for travel or winterization, we just need to make sure the water pump is turned off and then just lift this up like so to drain it off. It will then drain all the water out of the boiler. To refill it, flap it back over, fill up the aqua roll, drop your submersible in, turn the water pump on, and then it will begin to fill it back up again. You will need to open up your taps to let the air out. Wait until they're running freely on hot and cold, and then reclose, and then the system will fully reprime itself. We have the pressure switch just here. So if when you're closing the tap you are getting a long pump overrun, you can slightly adjust it just here. Surge dampener just there. And then if I now flap down here, we have the consumer unit. So we have the trip switches just there. So we've got the 3 grey individual MCBs. We then have the main RCD and test button just there. They are labelled up. and then correspond on the sticker just here. We then have the 12 volt fuses just here. Again, they're numbered up and then correspond on that sticker. So if something's not working on 12 volt, just check to see whether or not you've tripped. We then have isolator switches for components that use main supply. So if I turn this one off just here, we would not get any heating and hot water on main supply until this was turned back on again. These are more for maintenance than anything else, so I just say leave them turned on. You then have the battery charger just there. Again, if I turn that off, the battery charger up here will then not charge the leisure battery. And then lastly, on the front of the consumer unit, we have full system shutdown. So if you're planning on not using the caravan for a long period of time, you can press this button just here and it will then shut the system down and kill any residual draw on the leisure battery. There are a few more 12 volt fuses just there, and again they're labelled up. We then have the Pir sensor for the alarm just here, and then the alarm box is just tucked here, and then we have storage all underneath this bench seat. Radio just in here, on and off on the switch just here,
and includes an online guide. For more good news stories, then
volume control just here, search for radio stations or change tracks just here, USB and auxiliary connectivity just here. To get into its menu, just press the volume button in, and then you can change your treble, your bass, graphic equalizer, loud on and off, etc. all in here. To then turn it back off again, just hold the power button in. Microwave just here, will work when hooked up to main supply. We have quick start and stop just here, and then we have all the auto cooks etc. above. Sink, light switches, main socket and USB charging points as well. Dometic fridge, so to use this, turn it on just here. And then we have a picture of a 2-pin plug for main supply. If we can't run it on mains, we can run it on gas. These auto ignite themselves. If it fails to light, it will beep like it just did a moment ago, and then all you do is just press this button just here so it can reattempt and try to light again. It may take a few attempts, especially if you just put a new gas bottle on, as there may be some air in the system. Next we have 12 volt maintain. This is the one we have it on for when we're towing, to keep the fridge cold on the move. At the moment, if I do press this, it's going to beep at us because we're not hitched up to a tow vehicle. Temperature control just here. And then we have the removable freezer box at the top just here. Hobs, we've got the electric hot plate that will work on main supply. It operates just here. And then we have the 3 gas rings, and that's just push in, twist and push the igniter. Beneath that we have the grill, and again that's just push in, twist and push the igniter. And then the oven, Storage beneath, you'll also find some of the gas isolation taps for the caravan. So at the top there we have the cooker, then we have the fridge, and then the heating and the hot water. They're all in the on position, and I always say they can stay like that. If you smell gas in the van, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. Also tucked to the back there, you can see plug, which is for the electric hot plate. We then have the dinette area just here. This can be made into a single bed. All we need to do is just take the table off the wall and then fold the leg on this button just here and then drop it onto here. And then just pop the cushions in. As we now move into the washroom, we have the shower cubicle just here. Wardrobe just here. This also is where you will find the location of the Aldi header tank. Always make sure that the fluid is between the minimum and the maximum. Always take your reading once the heating is up to temperature, as it will expand in the tank. If it does need topping up, you can do this yourself by removing the collar and then taking the cap off and then topping it up. If you do this, do make sure that you're using the correct Aldi top-up solution. We also have in here the digital amplifier for the television aerial, on and off just here, and then control the boost in the middle just here. You will see it has a signal finder as well, so if you've got a nice strong green light, you know you've got a good signal. This is also the aerial for the radio, so you do need to make sure that it is up for that as well. So with the mast itself, just undo the collar and then push it up and then get it into the position you require and then lock it. At the moment the aerial is in the horizontal position. We can turn the tail just here so it's on its side in the vertical if you need to do additional tuning. Do make sure that the aerial is down for travel and that the red dot is facing you. Toilet just here. So to open to the cassette, just slide across here, push to flush. Level indicator just here, so you will get an illumination when the cassette needs emptying. And then close back up again just here. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody has left this open. And again, we then have the other wardrobe and the basin.